Welcome to AU Nation. I'm your host, Evan Blank, here to bring you the latest opinions from your very own Auburn Student Media Group. Joining me today first is JJ Jackson. He is a sports analyst for Eagle Eye TV and is the co-host of the Eagle Eye Sports Report. JJ, how are you today?
Evan, I'm doing very well. You look nice today, my friend. Green, I'm wearing green. Great minds think alike.
I heard you had a rough day at your intramural game last night.
Playoffs didn't go the way we wanted them to, Evan, but we'll be back next year.
I heard a very large man fell on top of you. Next, we have Noah Gardner. He is a WEGL 91.1 FM sports analyst who hosts a show called GH Sports along with Eli Hiskey. He also calls Auburn sporting events for Weekend. How are you today, Noah?
Doing really well, Evan. How are you?
I'm not too bad. And last, but certainly not least, we have a brand new panelist. We have Andrew Monson. He's a sports writer for the Plainsman. You can read his latest story about the Auburn gymnastics team beating Alabama at theplainsman.com. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. Analysts are set. Now we're on to our first topic, and we begin with NCAA women's basketball. The Auburn women's basketball team is on a roll lately, winning 5 games in a row in SEC play and knocking off number 16 Florida 80-58. How have these ladies performed so well down the stretch? JJ, we'll start with you.
When I watch the women's team play, I really think it's confidence that is really allowing them to play the way they are. Earlier in the season, we saw them take down number 7 Kentucky at home, and ever since then, you can tell that they feel confident that they can play with anybody in the SEC, and guys that are knocking down open shots, whether it's Katie Firking or Brandy Montgomery, it doesn't matter who's scoring the points. They're just happy that the team's able to do well offensively.
I also think that they're a hard system to play against. I mean, the press is absolutely, one of the most difficult things to play against in basketball. And also, from what I heard heading into this game, they needed 2 more victories to be a lock for the NCAA tournament. Well, they got that one with Florida. We'll see if they can get it against Missouri or A&M. And Florida, a rematch with them coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think you can really see the girls buying into Coach Flo's system now. She's in her 4th year. This team is all players she's recruited. They finally bought into the nonstop press system. They're shutting down people defensively, creating turnovers all over the place. And they're finally cutting down on turnovers of their own and scoring points. And that's what's leading them to all this success in the SEC.
And the system is so important in college basketball, as you said. We're seeing that on the men's side as well. Coach Pearl still doesn't have all of his players in there that he wants, just his 2nd year here. And so when he gets players that play his system, I think you'll see they'll play well like the women's team is doing.
All right. Women, it's a really exciting time to be around that team, and we'll see what they can do. Hopefully they'll get into that tournament. But we move from the women to the men, and after being suspended indefinitely, Kareem Canty is leaving Auburn and is on his way to the NBA draft. Is this the best move for both parties involved? Noah, we'll start with you.
Definitely. And, we were talking about this before the show, and do I want him to get drafted? Yes. Will he get drafted? Probably not. But I think he's got the talent to make an NBA roster just from, some of the fundamental, things that I've seen on the floor with him. He's got good court vision. I know he doesn't like to pass a lot, but I've seen him make some really high-quality NBA passes. And also, he's got a pretty good shot. I know he's been on a bit of a rough stretch leading up to when he was eventually suspended. But I still think he's got the talent to make a roster. Say what you will, JJ, about SEC basketball, but I still think he can make a roster.
When it's best for both parties involved, it's definitely, as we've seen, not best for the Auburn basketball team. Without Kareem Canty, there are no guard playmakers on this team. There aren't any guards. As you see, we had to move Simeon Bowers to the point because we don't have a guard that can dribble the basketball.
Right. But that's because of injuries. I mean, look,
it's
out,
just Pearl's just had all of his guards he's depleted his entire team. He's got his 3 best players arguably on the perimeter: Purifoy, Dunnins, Taj Shamsuddin, all out, not even dressing.
And while that's a good point you made there about the fact that with Canty being out, it's not a good move for Auburn based on their performance. But in terms of a guy that you want to have in your locker room, if it's all about me, which I think you're seeing in Kareem Canty, the season's not going the way he wanted it to. It got off to a great start when we beat Kentucky. Everybody is so excited about Auburn basketball. You go back-to-back, beat Alabama, and then the team has just continued to struggle. And like you said, Andrew, a lot of injuries have really depleted this team. And when you have a guy that seems to quit on your team, I don't think that's a guy that you want to have in the locker room. And the fact that he went ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to enter the NBA draft. You never hear that, ever. for a guy to say, I'm going to enter the draft in the middle of the season, and to me that's like, okay, well, one, I guess he's not going to be coming back this season because they just left it as suspended indefinitely. And going forward into the NBA draft, it's going to be hard for him to make a team because those NBA executives are going to remember this thing that happened with him and the Auburn coaching staff.
Well, I agree with what you said about him, hurting the team, from the locker room standpoint, but I also think he was hurting us on the floor. It was that me attitude, like you said, where he was taking majority of the shots, and I think Auburn didn't learn how to play as a team from the get-go. So even with him leaving, I think it can help them learn now to improve for next season as a team.
Best of luck to you, to Kareem Canty. Hope it works out well for you, and I hope Auburn can really bounce back from this loss.
And we'll see what they can do down the stretch and going into these next couple of years under Coach Pearl. That's it for this segment, but coming up next, we turn national. You've got NCAA football, NFL, NBA. That's all next. We go around the horn on AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
Families come in all sizes and shapes. Sometimes your friends are your family by choice, or sometimes you're just stuck with Uncle Charles. But what we know is that you want to protect the people that are close to you. But the flu can unravel everything. Your flu vaccine protects you and your family. No matter what draws your family together, protect yourself, protect your family. Everyone needs a flu vaccine.
Welcome back to AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. We turn national now with our subjects, and we start in the world of NCAA football with a little politics mixed in. Down on the bayou, LSU football may be in a little bit of trouble. Louisiana Governor John Edwards says a budget crisis may spell doom for the Tigers. What is your reaction for this news, Andrew?
It's ridiculous. How is he using a scare tactic like taking away LSU football for a tax budget crisis on the state legislative level? That's going to be settled in the government, whether it's...
I guarantee you this guy's out of power
very
quickly if he continues to make these type of threats. I mean, it's absurd. First of all, I don't like that politicians are getting involved in athletics like this, but second of all, to pass agenda, like you are threatening to take away something that's very dear to the hearts of Louisiana, residents, and then to go off of that, they make a lot of money, not only for the state but also for the university, and then that does go back to the state. So it's absurd that this guy's getting involved like this, and for me, I know I'm not from Louisiana, but it bothers me a lot because what if other governors start to follow suit?
All right, I'm not from Louisiana, and I'm not from the SEC territory, as you guys well know, and but I do know how much football in the SEC means, particularly in a state like Louisiana, and what LSU means to those people, and the idea of a governor threatening to take away that football program, that will not go over well with the state of Louisiana.
Also, from what I hear, the tax plan that he's supposed to bring up is supposed to increase dramatically, and a lot of people are losing their minds over that because they say that it will hurt their already fragile economy.
Right.
And to your point, LSU football made $57 million over this past year in profit alone. There's no reason that's the one that you're trying to cut.
Can help.
Well, we'll see what will happen with that down the stretch. Should be interesting to see what happens there. Meanwhile, we move to the NFL. Peyton Manning won the Lombardi Trophy, but is now facing something scarier than Tom Brady or Carolina's defense. The University of Tennessee sexual assault suit cites a time where Manning made inappropriate contact with female trainer Jamie Nawright. What are your opinions on this matter? We'll start with you, Noah.
I used to defend this guy, and it really hurts me because I liked the guy and he had a good image, and now it's completely blown up, and I see now, with it happening at the end of his career, what effect that the media has on people's perspective of athletes. And the thing is, like, this is absurd that not only that they were able to cover it up for almost 20 years now, that he then went on to defame the trainer that he did it to, and that is just absolute. Like, I can't defend this guy anymore. It's wrong.
Well, I am shocked, like you said, but you also made the point that the media is changing people's perspective on this, and that's something that I really don't want to happen to me. I don't want the media to force me to feel some way about Peyton Manning. And quite frankly, I would like to see how Peyton Manning responds to this being pushed forward before I have any idea of how I feel about the situation. Certainly, what the article says that happened with him and the trainer is something I would never want anybody to happen to my sister, to my daughter, or anything like that. But until I hear how Peyton Manning comes back and responds, I don't know exactly how I want to feel. he's in college. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes, certainly not to that degree, but I think that we don't. It seems like the media wants to create headlines after this guy's won 2 Super Bowls.
Well,
Andrew.
We definitely need to hear what he has to say. He's as good of a spokesman in this league as there is. Plugging Budweiser on the Super Bowl post-game comments, kissing Papa John on the field.
Well, what he had to say was written in a book 5 or 6 years after the incident. This guy said his piece, and his piece was, wrong. It was a lie, and it defamed, an innocent individual. I mean, Peyton Manning. This goes beyond just someone actually doing something like this. Not only that, then they lie about it and they defame the person they did it to.
And the book is a good thing that you referenced, but we haven't heard Peyton Manning say something since this article broke and since people really were brought to this matter.
Well, we'll see what happens in that case. Should be interesting to see how that develops down the stretch. Meanwhile, we turn to a little more fun matters. There was a big party in Toronto this weekend as the NBA took over the city. The slam dunk contest, 3-point shootout, and the All-Star game was all must-watch television if you're an NBA fan. What were your favorite moments from the NBA All-Star weekend? JJ, we'll start with you.
I love the NBA All-Star Weekend. That is something that people know about me right away, and I was just blown away by this weekend in Toronto. I think that they went all out and were very excited to be hosting All-Star Weekend. The slam dunk contest is what comes to mind immediately. The showdown between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon was just jaw-dropping, and I was hooked to the TV the entire time.
Well, I got my dog, I got a Coke, and I sat down and watched the All-Star game, and I was absolutely blown away by the fact that Kobe Bryant didn't get the MVP. Okay, I'm going to talk about what was not my favorite moment.
Right,
The fact that the Black Mamba did not get the MVP is absurd. I mean, he stole the hearts of every fan out there in the NBA, not only in this game, but this season and throughout his whole career, and I think that should have been respected in this game.
Yeah, even if it's just an honorary MVP, even though he only scored 10 points in the game, but you still got to respect the career that Kobe's had. This is his walkout, his retirement season. If he's starting the NBA All-Star game, you have to give him the MVP.
Love Kobe. He's my player. I'm a Lakers fan, lifelong Lakers fan, and it was nice to see him walk off the court, to a standing ovation. So, with that, we'll head to a commercial. You're watching AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. Coming up next, whip out those dictionaries, fill in the blank. Next.
From the moment we met, I knew we belonged together. I could tell right from the start that I was melting your heart, purring while you pet me, winding around your feet, and getting to just chill out with you. It felt perfect. But I don't know what just happened. Why am I in a cage, and who are these other sad animals? Where am I? They say I might get a new home. How can I get a new home when our bond was so special? What did I do wrong? How can you have given me up?
Welcome back to AU Nation, and it is now time to play Fill in the Blank. I'm going to give the analyst a sentence, and they have to fill in the blank. Simple, right? We'll see. Seeing Kobe play in his last All-Star game made me feel blank. JJ.
Made me feel honored, the fact that I was able to watch Kobe Bryant throughout his career. Really, when I came into an age where I could understand basketball and follow basketball, Kobe was at the top. Kobe was winning 3 straight, then going back and losing the finals to the Pistons, and then a couple years later coming back with Pau Gasol and going back-to-back again. So honored just to see his career develop and really see a guy from start to finish.
Made me feel introspective. The replica Noah inside my head just kind of stood up and started a slow clap for the guy, and then screams Kobe kind of majestically, and he walks off, and says farewell to a close friend.
Made me feel old.
Yeah.
I remember like it was yesterday that he was the immature youngster on Shaq's team winning championships, and now his career's over.
Replica Noah.
Yeah,
Is this Blade Runner? Is that the movie?
that's headline. That's headline worthy right there.
I think that's the movie.
More
All right,
me, the
next
merrier.
one. We got a video for this one. Let's take a look.
De acuerdo a la presentación. La primera oportunidad.
If he does this, though, he does this. That's a tip. This is real. This is real. That's a 50. For Peyton in that mascot. Yes, indeed. Okay, Aaron. Okay, Aaron. Okay, Aaron. Okay, Aaron. Okay. I'm not going to say it. I've been said this since 2000. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over again.
The best caption I can give for Aaron Gordon's dunks during the slam dunk contest is blank. JJ, we'll start with you again.
Incredible. Just the fact that the way I look at it, when I saw this on Twitter as well, but particularly the dunk where he jumps over the mascot Stuff's head and grabs it and goes between his legs. The best tweet I saw was like, imagine describing that to someone who's blind, that he's going to jump over this 8-foot-tall mascot, sit on the ball midair, and then come back and dunk it weak-handed with his left hand. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they were game-changing. I think that he's going to inspire future dunk contest participants to do, not only similar things, but even grander things,
Right.
which I can't even fathom.
I'm going to say underappreciated, at least by the judges.
Right.
The fact that he didn't win that dunk contest is just mind-blowing.
Right. And I'm just excited the fact that Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, so young, both 19, 20 years old, and I hope that they're not going to get too big-headed and not want to come back to the slam dunk contest, because I could have watched them keep going on and on. It was incredible.
Dunk contest. Grown men, and we're talking about a dunk contest. Can't believe that. And I also can't believe that we're talking about this next guy. Kanye West said that he is the Michael Jordan and Steph Curry of music. Kanye, please blank. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Stop. You can't compare your music when you're being as immature and just all about yourself to Steph Curry or Michael Jordan, especially Steph Curry. He's not a all about me type of player. That's not what Kanye's music is.
Snap back into reality. He is not the Michael Jordan and Steph Curry of music. I mean, I don't even like his music, so I mean, I can't agree with him on this.
I would just say, please reevaluate your comparisons. When I think of Kanye West, I think more of, if we're sticking in the NBA theme, I think LeBron James or somebody like that comes to mind when I think of someone like Kanye West.
All right. And finally, one more. We have another video. Let's take a look.
Got to get a shot up.
He's going to try to get fouled.
He drives it. No whistle. He banks it in at the buzzer.
What a shot.
He hit it.
Are you serious? Wow. Can't believe it. Super South. Grayson Allen with an acrobatic score.
Grayson Allen's game-winning layup against Virginia was blank. Noah, we'll start with you.
Traveling. It was a good shot, but it was still traveling twice on the same play, actually. There was 3 steps instead of 2.5, and there was, him coming down on what is colloquially referred to as an up and down, but it's still a traveling violation.
The game-winning layup against Virginia was awesome. I was very excited. Duke back-to-back wins against top 25 teams, put themselves back inside the top 25 going into Wednesday night showdown with Chapel Hill.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. It was an and one is what it was. He got fouled on that play, and that's the only reason why his foot might have touched the ground.
All right, Duke stuff.
I like this guy. That was good. That was good.
No one cares.
We're rooting for you, Coach K. Go
No.
take down those heels.
Okay. All right, coming up next, we head to our burning question. It's on NCAA basketball. We'll see what that's about next on AU Nation, Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
Boys will be boys.
Well, she was drunk.
Well, he was drunk.
She was asking for it.
He warned her.
Not my problem.
Why doesn't she just leave? But he's such a nice guy.
He said he was sorry.
We don't talk about that.
It's just the way people are.
We're never going to fix it.
No more excuses.
No more silence.
No more violence.
It's time to end domestic violence and sexual assault once and for all.
Welcome back to AU Nation on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. We end, as we do every week, with our burning question for our analysts, and it is in the world of NCAA men's basketball. There is currently no outright favorite for the NCAA tournament this year. Many analysts are predicting a wild and wacky tournament, with many Cinderellas making a run. What crazy predictions do you have for the tourney this year?
I don't have many crazy predictions when I look at this year's upcoming NCAA tournament. Many Cinderellas making a run. I don't think we're going to see that many teams make a run. I do think that, those top 10 teams, they can beat anybody on any given day. For that reason, it's going to be exciting because we aren't going to be able to predict who wins. But I don't see just a random team coming out of nowhere and making that Final Four Elite Eight run.
Well, these two teams may not necessarily be random. At least Dayton may not be, because
Right.
they only have 3 losses at the moment. A spectacular team, but also Oakland. Nobody wants to talk about it. They have the 3rd highest leading scorer in the NCAA on their team. You always find one of those teams in the mid-major schools that has a guy who's scoring 25 points per game. But I'm with you on that. It's hard to predict without a bracket.
Right.
But in the end, I feel like this is going to end up more like the college football playoff, in that it's going to pretty much go as expected, just because there are so many inconsistent teams out there, that the teams that are producing more consistency are going to inevitably be the ones who come out on top.
I'm going to have to agree with both of you. When it comes to the tournament this year, I think it's going to be the teams that have that senior leadership, that veteran experience. Teams like Kansas, teams like Michigan State, teams like UNC. I don't think they're going to get upset by any teams this year. I think the teams that are expected to win are going to win this year.
NCAA tournament is all about momentum, and whoever's carrying that momentum going into the tournament is going to be very successful in playing into April.
And that's exactly why it's hard to predict at this point, because I still think it's a little bit too early
Right.
to see who's gaining that
Right.
momentum. I mean,
We
we
need
are
to see
creeping
conference
closer.
championships and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we are creeping closer to March, but I still think it's a little bit too early here mid-February.
Analysts, thank you for your opinions today. College
Thank you,
basketball
good sir.
season should be fun to wrap up. Andrew, thank you for joining us. First time. We'd love
Thanks
to
for
have you
having
back.
me.
The other 2 of you I could do without. All right, but that is it for AU Nation today. You can visit eagleeyetv.com for more AU Nation, and make sure to tune in next week. Same time, same place. I'm Evan Blank, and until next time, Auburn, remember, if you don't make dollars, it don't make sense. We'll see you next week.